Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the I Do Wedding Marketing podcast. If you have been a longtime listener or binge listener of the podcast, you've known that I've been praying to the Pinterest gods to find a Pinterest expert to talk to us, and it has happened. Alyssa Abbott seemingly just dropped into my lap or my Slack. And I knew I had one conversation with her. I was like, can you talk to us? So let me tell you a little bit about Alyssa Abbott of Olive and Vine. Alyssa learned the benefits of Pinterest and blogging firsthand for her own business, and now she's helping other business owners like us to receive those benefits with Olive and Vine. From wedding industry pros to designers and even home builders, Alyssa helps businesses to go beyond basic blogs and pointless pinning, which is what I do, to craft sustainable SEO driven posts that bring more traffic to your website and connect with ideal clients. Alyssa, welcome.
Hello, Nina. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat.
I'm really excited too, especially when I discovered that you did home building as well. Not that you physically build the homes, but you pin them, which is more ideal for
You.
me.
Yes. Just filling Pinterest up with all the good stuff.
Yes, because I would rather pin a dream home than make it. So
Yes. Yeah, it's fun to just mindlessly scroll all the ideas. Yes.
yeah, so Alyssa and we met through a mutual client, which I wanted to bring up because to me, I think it's very important to realize that your Pinterest and blogging strategy is going to be very different than what we, bulk categorize as a social media strategy.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on that of how Pinterest relates. This is something I'm giving to you left field
Yes.
from.
No, I love this.
you know, is Pinterest really its own track from what is considered a social media strategy?
Absolutely. I think when I first, when I was maybe pinning my wedding, 10 years ago, I just, Pinterest is one of those social media platforms, is in the social media folder on my phone. And what I've learned as I, started learning Pinterest and of course started offering services for Pinterest, it is not the same as Instagram or TikTok, Facebook. It is a search engine. And so oftentimes people kind of will even just link all of their social media together, and it doesn't necessarily do your Pinterest strategy justice if those strategies aren't like really aligned. And so yeah, I mean it's more aligned with Google than it is, I would say, Instagram,
That
which
makes
is
a lot of sense. I've heard people kind of group together Pinterest, YouTube, and Google as more
Mhm.
search engine platforms. And then you have your Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok of a place where you are going on to be social. Because I'm
Yeah.
not going on Pinterest to talk to anybody. I'm going to make my dream life.
Yes. Well, I know, and they have comments, and you can interact with the creators, but oftentimes, things get pinned several times over, and you might even be asking a question to someone who repinned the pin. So it's definitely not conducive to a conversation. It's more ideas, inspiration, and those kinds of things under that umbrella.
So speaking of that, because we know that couples love to get wedding ideas on Pinterest, but can Pinterest be a place where we can actually promote our services, especially if they're location based?
Yeah, I would say 100% with our client, our mutual client. Everything I do in every single pin is specific to the area. So I'll talk about the state, I'll talk about the different cities that they serve, really honing that in, because there is going to be a bride who wants, a beautiful beach wedding in Florida or California or whatever, and they're searching those locations. I would say for Pinterest, it definitely, it's not for every industry, but I think the wedding industry and the home industry, and then of course service-based industry, because people are searching, that's maybe not as location based, but certainly there are ways to do it where you can get the benefit of the location and the benefit of the boost of traffic,
So
which
when
is
we're incorporating our location, should we just be putting that in the title or the body, or how should we be working it in? Or in the pin itself, right? In the graphic.
Yeah, I say all of it. Do a variety. So I will put together maybe, a series of titles, a series of descriptions for a pin or a set of pins. And then you kind of mix and match. Pinterest is obviously very visual. And so it knows what is in the picture. So if it's a beautiful white kitchen, you want to kind of tie in those things with the title and the description. And then, of course, all the keyword research that you're kind of doing and bringing that all together. But yeah, I mean, you want to describe what's in that picture. You want it in a natural way. There is a way a lot of times people, especially if you're using AI, which that's a whole other rabbit hole, you can get very robotic. I think people can sense that. And so having that warm, natural tone to, or whatever kind of makes sense for your client or yourself is also important. You're not just like keyword, 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 keyword.
Do people actually read the descriptions on Pinterest pins? Because that's why, like, I never, well, when I paste my robotic AI generated
Yeah.
response, because guilty,
No,
I say, well, nobody reads it anyway. But is that even true?
honestly, I mean, I don't know. I think there are people that do. A lot of times for like my home companies, they will get questions about like what kind of flooring is that? What kind of, paint did you choose? And if we can incorporate some of that into the description, that kind of helps. But also it's for Pinterest. A lot of times I find myself serving Pinterest what it wants instead of, I mean, certainly with the client in mind as well or their audience. But Pinterest is the one that is using its algorithm to serve those pins to the people searching them. And so, yeah, oftentimes I'm it's a little bit of both if that if that answers the question, but you want it to feel natural um to both Pinterest and the potential client or the
Feel
viewer.
like I'm making the connections. Like I'm having a moment with you talking about the home and people ask about the flooring. So now I'm picturing posting about the wedding
Yes.
and that I would pin the description differently because I would talk about the solo wood flowers or I would talk more about who designed the dress, like more of like I guess the materials about it and what was incorporated rather than just the storytelling, which is what I do
Yeah,
on a social platform.
1,000%. Because no one is searching for Joe and Jill wedding. Like no one is gonna put
Except
that
Joe
in.
and Jill's mom. No.
Yeah, right. No one cares about that. They care about what is that wedding dress? What is, that beautiful emerald green bridesmaid dresses that you guys have? Or, those are like the top pins for my wedding clients. It's going to be those kinds of things, flowers, or, gosh, I mean, you name it, there's a
Yeah.
hundred different topics. But that's what people are searching. And I think when it comes to the actual research, Pinterest, it's so easy. A lot of times people think it's easy to just jump in. I'll just do my own Pinterest. And that's kind of how I got into it. My husband and I, we're wedding photographers, mostly my husband now at this point. I've kind of had to step back a little bit. And I was like, I'll do our Pinterest. Like that's where photographers are. You're posting your work. And I went down like the wormhole of blogging and SEO and Pinterest and how they all go together. And yeah, I mean, it's a lot. There's a lot of things that you have to think about. With that said, like keyword research and all of the different things that you're going to do to help direct what pins you're even going to create and post. Yeah, there's a lot of kind of layers that you want to think about in order to have a successful campaign for Pinterest or strategy for Pinterest.
So let's talk about the specific pins and posts. Let's say, it's a wedding photographer and should I be, and let's say I have a blog of a wedding I just did and I
Okay.
want to create a pin for it. Should I just be using Pinterest sized photos or should I be putting text over those photos and making it a graphic?
Yeah. I think that there's kind of depends on what you're going to link it to. So if we're just linking it to a gallery of that specific wedding, I would probably just pin the images themselves. However, if we're doing a blog about like should you do a you know DJ or a
Live band.
DJ or a band, yes, then you might have some words on there. I think another thing that I've learned with Pinterest is there's a lot of testing. You're gonna try, I would pin the whole gallery, and then maybe I would do, another small set of pins where I maybe put the venue on there, like, beautiful wedding at the Ritz-Carlton or whatever like location that we're going to do, just to kind of give us a little extra. And the amazing thing about Pinterest is you can go back and pin that over and over and over, and you can tweak it. And, it's amazing. And then what you can do too is look at what's doing well. And then you can go back and really like repin those and have a purposeful action plan instead of just like throwing spaghetti at the wall. You want to like see what's doing well and then replicate that, because that's what people are searching for and interested in.
When I create a new blog, or this hypothetical photographer that I'm going to use as my example, how many is a good starting point of like, or let's say you have a client and part of your own client strategy and you have the blogs and the pins. How many pins do you create per blog post?
Gosh, there's a lot of different opinions on what to do. So I mean, I kind of think of it more, how many pins are we going to pin per day? So there's a tool for those of you who maybe aren't super into Pinterest. There's a tool called Tailwind, and that is a very popular scheduling app. I think it's their only like approved, like fully approved, like Pinterest scheduling app. And so I'll, go through and you can see the calendar. But I aim for 2 to 3 pins a day for someone kind of starting. And that can be a lot. Like if it's just you,
Yeah.
and you're like, I'm going to do this, 1 pin a day is great. Like that is fine. Like maybe pick a couple blogs and create pins. If you're a photographer, you can take the gallery, and I don't know if I would do all, 200
Right.
images.
We don't have to have them getting ready with grandma on
Yeah,
Pinterest.
go through, pick those images, like think about your audience and think about what are they going to search for? What am I going to put in this description to describe this image? Is this worth it? It's like this pair of shoes, and so that's kind of what I will think through. So you might have 60 images, like that's a lot from one. I probably stick closer to that, anywhere between 15 and 30 pins, depending on like what I have to work with. And sometimes I'll cut it down. So if you do have a gallery that's amazing, maybe you do a couple series of pins. You do it once with this first set, and then you do it again, because you also have to be careful with like spam filters. You don't want to pin the same thing on the same day, like to the same link on the same day, which is kind of like yeah, their spam filters are pretty intense because they don't want people just blasting, junk or the same thing every day. So yeah, I mean, even if you do, some people will do every other day or every 3 days, they'll pin from that gallery or that link. That's, yeah, I mean, you just go for
To
it.
clarify, is it okay if it's from the same domain, but it's a different specific link? So let's say now that somebody doesn't have a very intense blog strategy, so there's less links that relate to that. Let's say they just want to promote their website and their services. What
Yeah.
sort of pins could they be utilizing?
If they have any kind of like a portfolio page, that's great. It is a challenge. Like if you're not blogging, it can be a little tricky to find enough links, because you can't pin the same link every day. So or in the same day. So I mean, if you have a contact form, if you have, any portfolio pages, even if they're not like fully optimized for a blog and you just have different pages for that, I mean, you're just your main website as well, that's fine to do. And then just kind of talk about your services page. I mean, you certainly can pin. One thing that I have noticed is Pinterest really wants to make sure what you're saying is what you're linking to. So you do want to make sure that it's cohesive, and that you're not like saying, oh, learn all about this wedding, and then it goes to my contact form. They're not going to like that. Instagram is another great place that you can, if you're really focused on building a community and you want to drive people to your Instagram page, you certainly can do that. I think it just kind of depends on your strategy. And so if that's your goal, that's great. I think Pinterest is really, really good at driving crazy amounts of traffic to a website. And so that's usually what I use that, that space for. But again, it kind of depends on your goals.
Yeah. You're getting me thinking about kind of creating everything, which now, like these pins we're doing, they need a place to live. So let's say when someone's starting a Pinterest board from scratch, their wedding industry brand, what boards, and specifically the title of those boards, should they be making for their profile?
Yeah. Boards are keywords. A lot of people don't realize that. And so they'll put cute little, like, just
Right.
things that don't make
Happily
sense.
ever after.
Yeah, and that's not gonna, if it's a personal board, that's totally fine. But if it's a business profile board or a board on a business profile, those are keywords. That is what Pinterest is looking at to get an idea of who you are and what you are, doing there. And so you want to, if you're a wedding photographer, then, engagement photo ideas or, different locations or all the different kind of parts of a wedding are totally fine if you're a wedding photographer or a planner or a florist. I mean, you can talk about all the different kind of aspects, the things that you do, colors, all of that. With that said, it also is important to do some research, and Pinterest actually makes it pretty easy to go in and get an idea of popular keywords. Certainly, there are some tools out there that you can use to actually see, like, how many people are searching this per month? What's the competition for that search term? Those are things that I use. But when I was first starting out, I mean, there's all kinds of things. Pinterest, literally, when you type in, California beach wedding, it'll come up there. The second half of the search term will start filling in for you, and you can see
Mm,
what are the top terms. And so there's a lot of different
I
strategies
do
with
that
Pinterest
now.
managers. Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So if you go on and let's see, California wedding venues, wedding dress, wedding getaways, wedding aesthetic, wedding trips, wedding style, it literally feeds you their top search terms.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of work that I do when I start with a new client. I will basically go through, I optimize their accounts, I get rid of all the happily ever after kind of, or I archive them. But yeah, you don't want to have all of that cluttering up. You want to clean that up. You want to have boards with actual keywords, and you want to have board descriptions that are keyworded as well, including, so if you're having California wedding, you might say, like, this board has tons of ideas for California wedding venues, wedding dresses, getaways. We're going to give you the best wedding aesthetic for your California dream wedding. I mean, you want it to feel natural and not super, like, just robotic, but in a way to use that naturally. You have the title with a keyword, you have the description with a keyword, and then you want to go in and you want to pin things that are relevant to that board as well. So that, again, Pinterest, before you start pinning on it, Pinterest already knows, oh, this board is all about California weddings.
So let's stop. That was really good. One, when you were coming up with a board description, if those listening can't tell, you were taking what came up in that search, right, to write that description, which was really great. So I just wanted to commend that because I thought that was really smart. And two, we think our business Pinterest board needs to just be our pins. But what you said was we should start by pinning other things. So if we have existing boards, is it too late for this? Should we make a new board and do that? Or could we start pinning to it now?
As long as the board is relevant. So, like, let's say someone they turned their maybe personal Pinterest account into a business account, and they had planned their dream wedding, or they've, designed their kitchen, and they have all these kind of things. They would want to archive all of that, just archive it or create a brand new account. So if maybe your business account has some of that, the same thing, you want to archive anything that's not super relevant, and you want to make sure that you are, you have everything that is, again, relevant to your business.
Yeah, I have a specific example. So let's say for
Yeah.
myself, I
Okay.
have a board that is all about social media advice for wedding professionals.
Yeah.
Is it too late to start pinning other social media advice for other from other
Got it.
boards, or should I create a new one?
No, absolutely not. You can keep going. What would be interesting is to go into the analytics and see like what are your analytics for some of those boards, even looking and seeing what are some of my top boards that I have right now, and then going in and maybe finding some other related keywords and creating some new boards with
Wow.
those
How do you
ideas.
even see your top boards?
So if you go into,
I'm making her give me an audit live.
I know.
So mean. I'm just
You're good.
I'm
So
gonna I'm gonna
is your
share my
account a
screen
business? Okay, perfect.
and we'll see what we can find. This way you guys will get the live feedback. So I just
Oh,
went to the analytics tab.
yep. So scroll all the way down.
Okay, so now I'm scrolling. Oh, it
Top
says
boards.
top boards.
There you go. And you can, I mean, obviously it has all your boards, but you're getting, so these are your two top boards. So I don't know what social media for
For
wedding, is it
wedding
that?
professionals, yeah.
Okay. So you might take, social media boards, social media ideas for photographers, social media ideas for wedding coordinators, florists. You could do that. I would also go in and search your actual like search keywords and see kind of what comes up because a
Right.
lot of times I will be like, of course that's going to be a popular keyword. And I kind of write it down and I start moving forward. And then I will like actually go in and look it up and it's not or like the idea that I have.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can search weddings.
And sometimes,
There we go.
so even if you hit, oh, you're in under your, there you go.
There we go. I was under your pins, so
Your
it wasn't
pins,
giving me. So I'm gonna try searching wedding social media. Oh yeah, and it says post design.
post ideas,
There's another Pinterest manager who came up. So that's really cool. Social media, post ideas, content.
so I will note, keep this up. What you see with like the top one here, she has social media marketing for wedding pros in her title. And so, kind of like you do with social media when you're
Yeah.
optimizing an account, it's very similar in that form that you want to have those like your top keywords. Like, what do you do in the shortest form, in the most like concise, words?
Yeah.
So, to have that in your actual name and not necessarily just description. So you have wedding marketing, you could do something.
And like, there's look, because like I'm putting in Long Island wedding photographer and nobody comes up. So it's like snag that in your title
Yeah,
and
Long
let's
Island wedding
get,
planner.
I'm just gonna try another. Now I'm trying Hampton's wedding planner and it's not coming. So, just like snag that spot, guys. That's like really exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, thank you for doing that for me. That's
Yes.
okay. So let's see. We spoke about our boards and that the boards are your keywords and they should have a description. What about mirroring content? And by that I mean I'm posting to Instagram, so I say, well, I might as well post it to Pinterest too.
I it depends. So, for example, the client that we have, I did it for like a minute and then I turned it off because I was like, this just the videos were so perfect for Instagram and TikTok, but they kind of felt like they were cluttering up what we were kind of creating and curating for their boards. And it was funny because there all of a sudden there was just so much because I think it goes back like 30 days or 90 days. And so
So many like heads because we
no,
do
I was like,
the
oh
reels,
my gosh.
of them talking.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And so, I mean, I think there are certainly like if you have services or for like some of my home builders, they'll just do videos like showing a home and just kind of panning through a kitchen. Of course, like that's visually aesthetically pleasing. That's what someone is going onto Pinterest to see. Whereas, the TikTok video of like my face over, a picture, like it doesn't translate. And because you're not getting that audio right away like you do on Instagram, yeah, you just kind of have to think about that. So I definitely would give anybody pause before they link their Instagram to Pinterest and just have it automatically post. It really, really has to make sense. And then the other thing is your title and description are going to be pulled directly from Instagram. And so if it doesn't relate, if it doesn't have keywords that are kind of along the lines of your strategy, it's kind of doing you a disservice, is kind of what I have seen. It can be great if your strategies are aligned, but that's kind of
Let's
different.
see if I can make it work, right? Like
Yeah,
make a
yeah.
strategy of it and see if I'm right or wrong from the Pinterest end of it. So what I would do based on this is that maybe once a month I would look over at the past content we've done. I would pull things like venue tours or
Mhm.
something that had I did a post for somebody that had the top 5 ceremony songs you may not have thought of before,
Okay, yeah.
and I would download those. I use a site called Inflact to download my Instagram reels to
Okay.
my computer, just so if they were made on Instagram, I don't have to worry about the watermarks.
Yeah.
And then I would schedule them out, find a relevant place for them to live in the Pinterest boards. Now, would I link these to Instagram or to the website?
If there was if there was relevant content, or if we could, even in the description, like if it was you said ceremony songs, I
Yeah.
think that is perfect for Pinterest, especially if it says that on there. The ceremony songs, unless there was a specific blog, I probably would link that to Instagram because that's going to give them the answer likely, or just kind of connect them. If it was something else and you could like say, if you want to get more information about this company,
Hmm.
check us out here, and then you could link that to their website or their contact form. You would just have to put that one little sentence in the description just to make it make sense. That would be kind of what I would do in that
All
case.
right. So really, because I'm sure there are other people like me who are using maybe a platform like Later, and because you can just click the Pinterest button, you click it. But what I'm really thinking is that I should just do a kind of a monthly review, or however often, and pull in place accordingly, because then I can link it to the actual Instagram post rather than trying to invent a relevant link when maybe there
Yeah.
isn't one.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I would say that is spot on.
How important is it to have a blog strategy if you're going to have a Pinterest strategy?
I think it's super important. If I have someone interested in my services and they don't have a blog, there's really limited things that I can do for them as far as, driving traffic. I would even say one blog a month is like, if that's all you can do, like that is awesome. Because again, these things are evergreen. We're able to go back to it forever and repost and adjust. So I mean, even if you had like 3 or 4 blogs that you could go back to, I mean, that's better than nothing. Um, it kind of depends on your purpose for being on Pinterest. If you're wanting to drive traffic to your website, if you're wanting to get inquiries, if you're wanting to sell a digital service or a digital product, those there's so many things that blogs can do. Blogs are a little bit more like Google SEO focused. You're going to be able to rank on Google through blogging. You're not necessarily going to do that on Pinterest. Pinterest will help your SEO because it's going to drive traffic to your website, but it's not necessarily going to help you get like #1 wedding planner in Boise, Idaho. That's going to be coming through blogs.
So you said something that made me go, wait. So if I have a course I'm selling,
Yeah.
I should not just be creating pins linking to the course sales page, but I should making blogs that talk about the course.
I would definitely do that. Yeah. I mean, you can link to the sales page, but when you're thinking of a funnel, which that's again a whole other wormhole, but is someone going to click on this? They're searching, I want to learn how to do social media marketing. Are they going to buy a course that quickly, or are you going to need to kind of like warm them up to it as they're kind of funneling down? And so I mean, I think when you're thinking of a strategy, having several blog posts that you can link on Pinterest. Then from there, once they're like, oh, I really like her, like she's got a fun personality, I want to learn from her, or just her information is spot on with what you're putting in the blog. Then from there, you're gonna have that call to action, like learn about my course, and then kind of funnel them. I mean, that's like a mini funnel, but I think you do all of that.
Wow. That because I knew not to book anything after this because I knew I was gonna want to start to do stuff for my own
Yeah.
interest and blogs. I have so much more I want to ask you, but I want to keep this,
I know.
tangible in terms of
Do
time.
a part two
Yes,
next.
please. So this is broad if I just say any hacks, but
Okay.
any hacks or something you learned that really worked for you when you were getting leads and exposure for your own business through Pinterest.
Oh, hmm. I'm really fortunate to have good word of mouth. I actually personally want to work on my own marketing. I have, as a business owner, it's like there's not enough time in
Yes.
the world to like actually do all the social media stuff. Maybe we should talk. We could
Yes,
do a
yes, the
trade.
trade. I love it.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think one of the hacks, if you're wanting to like whether you want to start like a business like this or you're just wanting to like learn Pinterest is I mean, maybe do a course. Like that was something that really helped me. Obviously, like I've taken several courses on SEO, courses on Pinterest and blogging. I even got like a mentor when I first started because I didn't want to waste time. I think it's really easy to waste a bunch of time designing pins and like figuring out descriptions and there's so many courses out there that are not like crazy expensive for Pinterest. Do something like that, like spend a little bit of time there so that you're not wasting a ton of time. And then your efforts are, of course, going to be more effective and efficient on the other end of it. I don't know if that's necessarily a hack, but yeah, that's definitely helped me learn and then of course build a business on top of what I've learned.
Yeah, the hack can be to just dive in, right? Like
Yeah,
just
get in
take the
there.
course, do the thing, learn what you got to learn, whether even, it takes longer, but you can learn this stuff for free when you dive in. Take a deep dive on YouTube. It'll take
I
more
know.
time
Yeah.
to find
Yeah.
everything, but it can be done.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of my favorite courses,
Send it to me.
I'll have
Yeah.
to like send it to you, but I mean, it's less than $100, maybe even like,
Oh, so
I don't remember how much it was. I've bought it several years ago, but like somebody who's like super esteemed in like within the Pinterest management people out there. The Pinterest managers, like there's several, but there's I mean one specific one I'm thinking about. It's great. It dives in. It's like got everything that you would need to just kind of understand the basics of what you are doing, and it's perfect for someone who like wants to be serious about Pinterest but not like waste a bunch of time. So yeah, I'll make a note and
yeah,
I'll send it
because
to you.
entrepreneur math, right? If you're pinning 2 to 3 times a day, you make that $100 back pretty quickly.
Yeah, you definitely. I mean, if you're wanting to get traffic, I mean, I know that you can get clients. Like there are people who are searching, especially if your strategy includes your location. There's definitely ways to do that.
Great. Before we get into our bonus round of fun questions, I do see on your Instagram, Olive and Vine Socials, you have a link to a free content guide.
Yeah.
So what can people get in the content guide?
Yeah, so that's going to be geared more towards my home builder interior design clients. When you go to my website, that is definitely who my niche is kind of pointed to. However, obviously being in the wedding industry myself, kind of on the side, and I started with wedding Pinterest and blogging, and so I serve wedding industry pros as well, even service providers, and so like designers and things like that. So that specific freebie is going to be blog topic ideas. It breaks it down and gives you a bunch of different ideas of things that you can do with a single project. I should do a wedding one too, because
Yeah, that would be
one
fun.
single wedding, all of the different blog ideas that you could have. I mean, I can think of like 50 right now. So
Right. So maybe before we put this out, we'll see. It will be in
yeah,
the show
see if
notes.
I can
So
get something out there.
Well, then, it's good because I take forever to edit. So it gives you some time.
There you go. I'm gonna put it on my to-do list.
Yeah.
I'll take that same freebie and just tweak it a little bit for
Yeah.
wedding
And
anniversary
you can
pros.
find Alyssa at oliveandvinesocials.com. Anything else you want to say about where listeners can find you, what you have going on before our bonus round?
Yeah. They can find me at oliveandvinesocials.com and on Instagram, which I'm gonna have to pick Nina's brain next time about
Yeah.
what I need to do to ramp up my Instagram game.
And Alyssa is wearing her branding colors
I
today. And I
know.
know we have a lot of brand designers who listen to the podcast. So, like, if you need help with Pinterest, I think Alyssa speaks your language because she understands the assignment.
Yes. Yes, I love that green. The olive green color is my jam right now.
Yeah. So, Alyssa, fill in the blank. The best
All right.
weddings have.
A late night snack.
Ooh, what would be your late night snack of choice?
Oh, I've seen them people bring in like In and Out, which is kind of
Oh,
fun. Which I don't know. I guess you don't have In and Out over
no,
on
I
the East
don't.
Coast,
And
but it's good. Or like late night tacos or like a late night ramen bar. I've seen that too. It's kind
oh,
of
that's
fun.
a fun. I've never seen the ramen bar. That is
Yeah.
really fun.
Yeah.
So, if you had to choose between cocktail hour or a dessert hour,
Oh, probably dessert hour. I like a good fancy dessert bar at a
yeah, I
wedding.
mean it's called like Viennese, but I feel like let's just call it dessert hour. I feel
Yeah.
like we're at Viennese. So, if you had to, I don't know if you could pick between these
I
two,
know.
Pinterest or blogging.
Uh, I'm gonna say Pinterest, just for our conversation's sake.
Yeah, this one I'm adding in a text pin or a photo pin.
Oh, I'm gonna say photo pin.
Photo pin. What was
Photo.
the last book you read?
Good Energy by Casey Means.
Well, it seemed like it worked. When you were in the zone, you were listening to
Oh, a podcast.
any favorites?
A podcast. Here we are. I like Crime Junkie,
Yes.
and I I like listening to the Dave Ramsey podcast
Mhm.
too.
Yeah, they're all fun.
Nerdy, but it's just interesting to hear stories and dream about being some millionaire someday. So here we are.
Absolutely, absolutely. Keep pinning those home builds.
I know. I know. Someday I'll buy my own fabulous
Exactly.
home from one
It's
of my builders.
all just been a vision board in the making.
Yes. My what did Oprah call it? Yeah, is it a vision board where you're like, my
Yes,
goal
yeah.
go.
I'm big on those. So
Yes.
listen, this was so much fun. Everybody, if you want to learn more about Pinterest or even hiring Olive and Vine for your Pinterest or blogging strategy, all of Alyssa's links will be in the show notes below. And if you enjoyed this episode, we would love it if you would share it on social media, heck, even share it on Pinterest or leave a review wherever you listen from. Thank you, everybody, and we will catch you on the next episode of the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast.